My little intro.
Bring it down, speak louder. Now what's my name? Stack. Eagerly leaving the scene to go and chase his dream. On a mission wishing ever since he was only 15. With sincerity, I'll never give in to the popularity. The clarity's a rarity when you're compared to me. Now where were we? And I don't mean to be cocky, but I'm never doing this sloppy. And all that hating, it's not me. So I'm original, no copy. Can't copy my swag. I'm spitting liquid, twisting like my name was Mickey Fats. And I'm the 11th freshman on the cover, double XL. Didn't get any recognition cause I'm...
All right, joining me today is Ethan Graubard. Ethan is a professional Arena League player. Currently is a member of the Oregon High Desert Storm of the American West Football Conference, a league with a very interesting backstory of its own, but we're here to cover Ethan today. Ethan declared for the NFL and CFL drafts as a safety/linebacker, but currently plays cornerback and wide receiver for the Desert Storm. Thank you for joining me today, Ethan. Why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself real quick?
Pleasure's mine. Yeah, you do a great job, Sam. Currently with the Oregon High Desert Storm in Redmond, Oregon. Playing corner, special teams, receiver too. Just really versatile. But yeah, just happy to be on.
Absolutely. Well, like I said, I'm glad to have you on. It's always interesting when I contact players. You never really know what they're going to say or how they're going to react, and it was kind of cool that you were like, "Oh yeah, definitely, let's do it, man." So it's kind of cool to hear that right away. So what age did you get involved with organized football? Sorry about that. What was that?
I got involved with organized football in sixth grade, so I was 12 years old.
Okay. What inspires you to begin playing the sport and continue to pursue it relentlessly to this day?
I think it's just love the game. Just love the game a lot. Everything that comes with it. Just really addicted to it. I'm not playing. It's one of those things that you sleep and breathe it. So always about it. So it's really hooked on and really just like a real passion for the game.
Absolutely. When you got involved with football, did you have any plans to pursue it for a career long term, or was it just kind of you were playing it for the passion and then whatever happened?
I would say just playing for the passion. Sort of playing in the middle school, thinking about high school. High school was always the best. Going to college, especially when I entered that senior year. And then, really think about professionally until after I was done my senior year. I wasn't really thinking about professionally all throughout college. I was more just focused on college football. And then once college football ended, started thinking more about how I can continue playing.
Gotcha. Absolutely. I mean, that makes sense. You never know what's going to happen with your career, especially when you're at that level. What's that? What'd you say?
Is there a lag in your end? Is there a lag in your end? You're saying later?
Just a little bit.
Okay.
All
right. Yeah, it's fine.
Okay, during high school, you were one of the rare three-sport athletes. You played baseball, football, and ran track. What position did you play in baseball, and could you ever see yourself pursuing this or track instead of football?
So it's kind of inaccurate. I don't know why it says on my college page. I actually ran track in middle school.
Really?
That's funny. I only did football and baseball.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry for.
I speed trained.
Inaccurately portraying that.
So that counts.
Gotcha.
No,
okay.
that's not your fault. Yeah, that's not your fault. I know it has my college reps. I'm not really sure why.
Okay. Well, I should have checked my information with you beforehand. That's why it's always a good idea to send the questions to the person beforehand.
But no, baseball was definitely my first love. In terms of sports, definitely love baseball. I'm playing everything like that.
Was that something that you planned on pursuing before football came around?
Definitely, 100%.
Definitely,
100%. That was definitely something I planned on pursuing before football came around. Even
Really?
probably like
Interesting.
all the way up to like junior year of high school. I would say that.
Interesting. I would not have guessed that, having seen some of your highlights and how aggressively you pursue football. Many athletes mention the fact that... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that I'd say junior year I got hooked into football really, and like really pursuing it. You know,
Gotcha.
I try to be the best I could be at it.
Makes sense. Do you still tie either of these sports into your training now?
I mean, I think everything. I think being an overall athlete helps you, especially in football. You know, you could just use all these different things. You're guarding someone. You're playing basketball. You know, guard someone like a point guard. In terms of baseball, you actively use that like sudden power, which translates over to football. So I still
Makes sense.
So I still assume myself an all-around athlete.
Gotcha.
Just staying active,
Absolutely.
helps in terms of everything else.
Absolutely. I've heard that from many athletes, actually.
And in the off season, I was running like a lot of track. I was training a track coach. So I was really training like a track star. Translate over to football. Just in terms of translating my body into more of a sprinter type.
Gotcha. Okay. Have you always focused on the defensive side of the ball as far as primarily playing cornerback and safety and linebacker, or was there a point when you played offense as much as you played defense?
Yeah, in high school, it's more of an offensive player.
Really? Okay. Interesting. What position did you primarily play?
I played more running back in high school.
Okay. Interesting. How'd you end up playing wide receiver in the arena?
Started playing arena just because I was just by being versatile, being able to play DB, and training like a receiver helps you be a good DB.
Absolutely, makes sense.
So I just translated that over. But still consider myself all-around athlete. And I can play any sport really.
Makes sense. So I've seen a couple of your other interviews that you've done, and I saw in a couple different spots that you have some interesting nicknames. Can you tell me about a couple of these nicknames that you've got?
I don't even know what you're talking about.
Really? Okay. There was one site that said, I think it was Easy E, and the other one said Big Hitta.
Oh yeah. That was just common nicknames. People you work out with, just based on my name, Ethan. Ethan, so it's common, just to go together, easy.
Gotcha.
Just translates from the way I played, especially in high school, being more of a smaller guy in high school, and then playing bigger than I am, translate that over.
Definitely makes sense. Were there any other players that you modeled your game after when you were young to get to the point where you're at now?
Yeah, I would say Jamal Adams, Buda Baker, somewhat of Jalen Ramsey. Offensively, I could see Adrian Peterson, DK Metcalf on that, especially. But trying to blend my play style into my own. Really.
Absolutely. Well,
I just take advantage of whatever the defense calls. Just do my best to it.
Absolutely. Let me see if I can fix this audio real quick. All right, does that help the lag at all?
Let me see. Yeah, I think it does.
Okay, cool. So, anyways, you trained with Varsity House Gym that once admitted that they didn't expect you to make it through their program. You proved them all wrong and developed yourself into a college level athlete, all while working a full time job as well. What led you to that gym in particular,
Hmm.
and where do you think you would be if it weren't for them today?
I'd say what led me to that gym was just, that was kind of the gym that people in my area always went to. So just kind of, if you want to be the best athlete, you go to that gym, especially in high school. So started going there. And I mean, just in terms of just like, going to high school, pretty undersized, that probably contributed to people. I think I'd make it through it. But, just, working hard, staying consistent, led me to, developing.
Gotcha. Makes sense. Um, you are most of the one of the most aggressive players I've seen play the game in a long time. How do you fire yourself up before each game, or is this aggressiveness a natural trait you've always had?
I wouldn't say it's just, I think it's mostly film studying, designating the play and knowing what my strengths are. I know my strengths are, being fast, explosive, and designating plays. And, I just try to play the game. That's the way I believe you're supposed to play the game. Is just, aggressively, within the, whistle, obviously. So I think that's the best way. And that's the best way to be the best player you could be is by, being the most violent on the field and being the most aggressive on the field is the only way to be. Because it's a violent game, so you gotta be violent, and you gotta be aggressive. Um, so that's just how I know you have to play the game in order to be the best you could be. Is that way?
Makes sense. Definitely makes sense. Your demeanor off the field seems to be in stark contrast to the way you approach the game. How do you manage to turn this off when it comes to your life outside of football?
Well, outside football, I'm just a normal person in terms of that. Football is the only thing where you could legally, assault somebody on a football field. You can't do that in normal life. So I just turn that switch on. I know in order to be the best player on the field, you have to be you have to be aggressive. You have to bring the tone every play, or you're not going to do well. And it goes for all levels of the game, no matter what position you play. You have to be aggressor. Even I can say, position like quarterback, you have to be the aggressor. You have to be mentally and physically violent in order to be the best. But outside of football, obviously I'm not going to assault somebody like that. I'm just a normal person. So it's just, turn that switch on when it gets to game mode.
Absolutely. I was gonna say, I mean, after seeing the way you play and then talking to you for a while off the field, it's like it's night and day. You're so aggressive on the field, and then off the
Yeah,
field,
yeah,
you're
yeah.
just like this laid back guy.
Hmm. Yeah, it's bringing multiple spectrums to the
Absolutely,
game and to life really is what I try to do.
gotcha.
Even in my
Uh,
game too, I can see myself. You know, there's sometimes where I have to be aggressive, sometimes where it's more of finesse on the field. You have to know when to do which and in one situation to do the other. So I try to know the exact situation. It's just about that turns into me being versatile. It's just knowing where I am on the field, knowing what I have to do. If it calls for more of a finesse or more of a bully mode, just knowing what I have to do on the field and executing that for sure. It just seems like because there's a lot of need to be aggressive on the field, blow up blocks, whatever it may be, fill the hole, pressing aggressively. That's what I have to do. But if I'm against the guy where I know I have to be more finesse wise, I'll turn into that more finesse player.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So you graduated in a college in 2020, correct? Or 2019? Then 2019.
Yes, but
Okay.
no, 2020, January 2020.
Okay, gotcha. So right about when COVID-19 started to take the world by storm and more or less derail everything,
Mhm.
correct? How did this affect
Yeah,
your
absolutely, yes.
whole? How did this affect your whole professional pursuit and pro day circuit and all of that?
Well, I had a right before COVID, I went to an All Star game down in Miami. So did that. Coming out of that, I think I had a invite to a CFL tryout. That got canceled to COVID, and then from there, it was just working out. For any real opportunity. Obviously, there's no real opportunities with COVID, so just stayed ready. Um, you know, and then when 2021 came around, I became active again. Playing with the Bearcats, and then now again in 2022. playing professionally finally in a higher up league. So just always trying to move up and stay active. COVID really derailed everything because there was no real opportunity to move up because everything was canceled. Because I offered to go overseas. I said that CFL tryout. Really, XFL, I'm sure there would have had some tryouts that I could have attended, but nothing really happened with that. So I just stayed ready and continue getting better. Changed myself as becoming a better athlete, which translates to where I am now.
Makes sense. Talk to me about how that all felt. I mean, that must have been frustrating, just the timing of everything for you.
Oh yeah, it was very frustrating. Same. It just seemed like there wasn't really a lot of opportunities. I didn't really know anything about development football at the time, so it was really just like NFL and nothing really is what I saw it being. Um, so it was just hard because wasn't getting a lot of um, calls back in terms of that. So it was just pretty frustrating. Staying ready, everything like that, because I didn't really know what I was staying ready for. So when I finally found out about all this stuff, I was eager to jump on it because I was eager to take an opportunity to move up for sure.
Absolutely. I mean, it it's got to be such an interesting feeling when you're in that situation, when you see a bunch of opportunities, like you said, the CFL shut down for the year, stuff like that, XFL shut down and stuff like that. You're losing all these other leagues that might have given you a look, and you're sitting there kind of just
Mhm.
buying your time, trying to stay motivated. I mean, what kept you fired up through this whole time, working and trying to get better, despite the fact that you didn't really know if the CFL came back. You didn't know if XFL ever came back, or if the NFL would
Mhm.
ever give you a look.
Yeah, it was more just passion for the game. I'd say, Sam. That's a great question because I'd say it'd be passion for the game. Just passion for training. I enjoy training, everything like that. And just continuing getting better. Having faith that an opportunity will pop up. Sort of staying ready for when it did come. So I can control the eyes of those scouts or anything like that. It's just putting myself in the best position to continue getting better. Um, and whatever happens on that end.
Absolutely. I mean, absolutely. You can control what you can control, and after that, it's kind of out of your hands. Correct.
Hmm.
You've kind of moved all over
Absolutely.
the field as a player, lining up everywhere from cornerback to safety to linebacker to wide receiver to running back. Which of these positions do you feel most comfortable playing?
I feel like I could play all of them, but I would say probably either corner, safety, or probably those two would be top. But also, I could play some running back would be the next, and then some receiver as well.
Makes sense.
Linebacker, I could definitely play in some schemes, but it just goes back to me being versatile. But definitely, I'd say the position I train the most at would be the defensive back positions. But I know in these defenses you have to be versatile because people will be playing multiple different things on that end. But again, I love having that ball in my hands. That's why I love running back, receiver, special teams, everything like that.
Absolutely, absolutely. I was going to say you play in the arena league where players, they often are asked to fill all kinds of roles, and the CFL might have been
I
looking at you as a
love that.
linebacker. I mean, with the way they position guys, they have a lot of the smaller linebackers in the CFL as well. So that might have been somewhere you would have
Hmm.
landed had it been a CFL opportunity that you went to. Um,
Hmm.
talk to me
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
Sorry,
yeah. I
Graubard.
love that how they. No, I said I love that how the arena league. People play all different positions. Really, people utilize them as athletes.
Absolutely. That is one thing I wish the NFL would adopt more often, and they kind of seem like they are a little bit more as we go forward with Debo Samuel and guys like yourself that are playing, linebacker, safety type roles. Um, but it's just
Hmm.
not quite to the arena league level.
Hmm.
Talk to me about the different ways coaches have found to put you in a role that caters to your strength as a player.
That's pretty interesting because, I would say my strengths, I mean, they put me in all different positions, because I would say college, especially towards the later years of college, I was much more of a in the box sort of player, you know, fill in the run, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
But, as COVID hit, everything like that, I started training more sprint training, everything like that. My body started changing, becoming faster, everything like that. Playing the pros, the past 2 years, I've been split out covering the wide receiver, so more of, a corner type. But always, with that aggressiveness, to fill whatever gap need be, whether I need to go back into the box or anything like that. So I'd say it's really varied. You know, as years have gone on, what coaches have seen me being better at in terms of that. But even here I'm playing, some corner and then some strong safety as well. So it's just really being versatile and that in the spectrum, and just taking advantage of myself as a football player.
Makes sense. Definitely makes sense. Do you change the way you train based on what position you plan on playing the majority of the time?
Yes and no, because I'd say now being more of a defensive back, I do more defensive back drills, finesse drills, footwork drills, everything like that. But I did that in college, but it was more working more field work stuff now versus in the weight room. I'd say I was in the weight room more so than field work when I was in college, but now I balance the two. I still do both, but I say more field work now than I used to do. But I still, try to, get my offensive drills in, because then again, I think it helps me as a defensive player, because, if I'm running receiver routes, then as a corner or as a safety, I'm able to recognize, oh, I know that route that he's running because I've run that route. So doing receiver drills, running back drills, everything like that, because I don't know what a coach is going to see me at. And it also helps me just as an overall football player.
Absolutely. I like the way you put that. You don't know what a coach is going to see you as. At the level that you're competing at, you really don't. Literally from a year-to-year basis, you could be playing a different position. One year you could be playing corner. The next year you're a safety for somebody else. The next year you're a linebacker or running back or whatever it may be. It's definitely interesting to see how the Arena League specifically approaches that. I interviewed another guy who he had never played fullback before at a professional level. He's now signed to play fullback with the Jacksonville Sharks of the NAL. So that's what I love about arena football. The coaches take more chances, it seems like, with the players, as far as like, hey, I think this guy can fill this role. I'm gonna give him a shot here and see what he can do.
Yeah, I've definitely seen that.
Absolutely. Are there any positions that you haven't played that you would feel comfortable lining up at?
I mean, I would just say I haven't lined up that much at running back and receiver in the past recent years, but I definitely would say I feel comfortable doing it and would love to do it, honestly.
Gotcha.
Just, another avenue in the game, would love to do it. I think I can do it based on my training. I train that way. And, I can visualize myself, doing it. So, have the speed, have all of it needed to play both running back and receiver both. So, can play offense as well. And would love to.
Absolutely. Out of curiosity, I didn't find this anywhere. What would you gauge your 40 time at?
Well, I would say it's improved a lot within the last 2 years. But I would say, if I was to run it right now, I could say I'd get a 4.5 right now, 4.5, 4.6, just off the training I've been doing.
There you go. That's not bad at all. Definitely not. Are there any coaches in particular that stick out throughout your career that really taught you something that just sticks with you to this day?
I think I take a lot from a bunch of coaches. Every coach I've been with has, given me, different pieces of advice that have really stuck with me, as on and off the field. So, I can't really pinpoint any one right now, but, definitely, especially in college, a lot of coaches that teach, accountability, because the change from high school to college was pretty dramatic. And then, just going from, the college to the professional level, just in terms of, having a positive attitude and treating it, at a professional way, both with, the professional coach I've had has been, pretty helpful.
Absolutely. Makes sense. If your coach right now came to you and told you he needed you to play on the offensive side of the ball, would you feel more comfortable lining up at receiver or running back?
Right now, I'll probably say running back.
Gotcha. If you had to pick a player in the NFL that to say would be like your style of play at running back, who would it be?
My style of play, running back, I would say in today's NFL, I'd go with I think I might go with maybe like a Dalvin Cook type. Just a person with speed, but it could also lower the shoulder as well.
Gotcha. Somebody who can actually add some value in the passing game as well, obviously.
Exactly. Yeah, just in terms of being a taller guy as well on the running back side, could definitely see that.
Definitely. Definitely. If you were the defensive coordinator tasked with designing a playbook specifically to maximize your strength as a player, is there a particular base defense or scheme that you would choose, and which position do you ultimately line up at the majority of your snaps?
I could see myself doing, on the 11-man side of the ball, I could definitely see myself being in a 3-4 as a rover, which I played in college, but I could play that free safety well because I love playing deep third and also being split out wide. So anything really in any defense, I could play. I know I give you a pinpoint answer, but it's just I feel comfortable at multiple different positions just because of the positions I've been thrown into throughout my football career, and I've taken everything from them. I haven't forgotten how to play any of them because I played all around my football. I played corner, I played rover, I played middle linebacker, I played deep safety. So I take all of them. I remember how to do it, and I can do it. At any given point in time. So I could
Gotcha.
the coach can have me split out wide, then the next play he could have me blitzing off the edge. And I could do that both. Excellent. I could execute on that.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So basically, just on a given play, you'd be kind of the guy who's attacking the offense depending on what you see.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's just how I train. Throughout my football career, done many different things. Playing that strong safety, playing the rover position, but also now, being a corner, being split out wide, cover the number one receiver in that end, can do all of it at any given point in time.
Absolutely. So, Ethan, you and I have kind of grown up watching football as we know it evolve and slowly transition more and more to a pass happy league where run heavy offenses just aren't the norm anymore. Due to this, more and more defensive coordinators seem to be using smaller, faster linebackers, like we alluded to, or bigger safeties, and less linebackers more than ever before. How do you think this has affected your career personally, given that you are one of these guys who can play all over the back seven of a defense?
I think it just helps it really. You know, being able to market myself as many different positions and being able to cover tight end, being able to cover number one receiver, being able to blitz off the edge. It just helps market myself and fitting more into that defense. Because I also fit that one role. I can play multiple different things, and it's not like I'm a jack of all trades. It's because I know how to do it, and I know how I played all positions, and I played all the positions well on my film. So whatever they need me to do, I can do it no matter what defense they need me to do. No matter if they see some other dude who they like better out on the outside, they'd rather me play deep third. I'm fine with that. Vice versa, I'm able to fill that role. Whatever the need may be. It's just in the versatile defenses, as you said. Able to do it, um, and do it well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, it's kind of opened up more opportunities for guys like yourself that can do a little bit of everything. Like you said, you can cover a tight end, you can go blitz the passer, you could set the edge for the run on the next play, whatever it may be, or you could
Mm-hmm.
line up as a linebacker, a corner, or
Mm-hmm.
safety all over. So it definitely seems to help guys like you get on the field, which is one of the things that I think is starting to take the NFL by storm, which I prefer personally.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, yeah. You know, just being more versatile. And also on the offensive side of the ball, you know, it's become, much more of a league of, you see guys like Cooper Cup, people who don't run these blistering 40s, but people who are able to, fit into specific wedges and know how to execute the game and, have game, not all about, the testing speed. It's more about how you play and your game speed on that end of the spectrum. So even offensively, I can see myself fitting in um, of it.
Absolutely. So unfortunately, it looks like you guys dropped your last game. Talk to me about what you think was your downfall in this past game.
So yeah, we won. I think you're looking at the Tri City game. we also just won the past game against who's against the Washington Elite. So the first game we lost, so we're 1-1 right now. So the first game we lost, it was just about being getting the gel together, everything like that. But we recovered, and in the second game we blew the Washington Elite out. So just we were able to correct what we needed to correct, and then we were able to go in and execute.
There you go.
It was a really good team win. Last Sunday, not this Sunday, last Sunday. It was a great team win.
Absolutely. So what drew you to Oregon High and ultimately led you to sign with them?
So I was in contact with one of the scouts, who was one of the scouts for the other arena teams. And he referred me over to Oregon. He said to coach my film, and the coach, offered me a contract. And then being pro, jumped around the opportunity. So I've been loving my time out here. It's been great group of people out here. Love the area, and we're definitely getting ready to compete for a championship.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So just one of those situations where network is everything.
100%.
Absolutely. So your tenacity and aggressiveness are what make you the player you are on defense. Is this energy something you think you can carry into your mid to late 30s?
Oh yeah. I mean, hopefully still be playing then. But whatever it is, definitely take lessons from football. Football has a lot of parallels to life, business, whatever it may be. So just continue to wake up and win the day, do whatever I have to do, to be the best I could be. Whatever that is, I'm specifically doing.
Makes sense. We have seen players play longer and longer. Are you one of these guys that thinks they're going to play to their 40s if they're allowed to?
Well, I'm just taking it, day by day. Whatever my body says I could do, we'll do. As long as I still have fun playing the game, we'll play the game for as long as I can.
Absolutely. I don't blame you.
I've been taking great care of my body. So, whatever, my body tells me to do, whether I still enjoy the game, we'll dictate that.
Absolutely.
But for now, loving the game, body feels great, everything like that.
Makes sense. I'm a big proponent for it. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, if you get the opportunity to play at the professional level, you play until they kick you out the door and they tell you you're no longer good enough to play, as far as I'm concerned.
Absolutely.
I'm going to leave you with one last question. What is your opinion of the 3 new spring leagues popping up over this year and next year? Do you think there's room for all 3 to succeed in the spring football market? And will you pursue any of these leagues following the conclusion of your season with the Desert Storm?
So you're referring to the USFL, XFL, and the MLB, MLFB?
Yeah, nailed it. I think you're the first player that's actually known what the MLFB is.
Yeah, I see that on social media. Yeah. I mean, whichever, would love an opportunity in any of them, really. Any opportunity I have to move up, and it's the right situation, would love to pursue it. So, yes, I feel like there's a fit if they see I'm a fit there.
Absolutely.
So, would love to pursue it.
Absolutely. What do you think their long-term success looks like?
Oh, yeah. So to answer your second question, I'm not really sure. I think people love football. So as long as there's football in the spring, I'm a big fan of other sports, as I said, baseball being, other ones, you have playoff basketball, playoff hockey too. But, people love football. So I can definitely see there being success on all 3 levels, just taking advantage of, the, good players and putting the good players in position to succeed will definitely draw fans. Especially if they can do it as more of a development league to the NFL, could definitely see that being successful.
Absolutely. It kind of seems like the XFL is angling to be that developmental league for the NFL. I mean, with all their partnerships, they actually just announced the NFL alumni partnership, I think it was.
Yeah, that's big. Just in terms of making sure developmentally that there's clear path from the XFL to the NFL, definitely could grow for the business, for both businesses.
Absolutely. Well, once again, Ethan, I want to thank you for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. I would love to catch up with you again later on down the line, after the season or whenever you get some more free time to come back on. I really enjoyed talking to you. And like I said, man, you've got a really interesting story, and I'll be rooting for you to succeed and hopefully, continue to progress your career as you go forward.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Sam.
Absolutely. You have a great rest of your night, man, and I will keep in touch.
All right, sounds good. Thank you again.
Absolutely. Have a great night, man. So once again, that was Ethan Graubard of the Oregon High Desert Storm. Ethan is one of those throwback players to the old school tough guys of old, in the early days of watching football. Guys who weren't afraid to bust you in the mouth if you needed it, but were as polite and endearing off the field as they could be. Guys like John Lynch, Brian Dawkins, and many others who were known for this type of mentality where on the field they were a totally different animal than they were off the field. I wish Ethan the best of luck in his playing career going forward, and down the line, maybe we'll have him back on to talk about how his career is going, where he's at in the future, and hopefully we see him make all of his dreams come true, whether it be the CFL, the NFL, or just a long career in the league that he's in right now. I definitely am interested to see how it all pans out for Ethan. He's a great guy, and he's one of those guys that really just puts it all on the line for football. I mean, like I spoke about before, he was putting himself, through a training program that was rigorous and going to school and working full time, trying to make it in football, but still having to support himself. I respect that. I mean, you got to work hard to achieve your dreams in this life. And if you're not willing to work for them, you're probably not prepared when they come. And to me, Ethan has prepared himself in more ways than on the football field to be successful when he gets the opportunities that he deserves. It's only a matter of time before the right coach or scout sees him and gives him an opportunity at a higher level of play. And I, for one, believe that he would fit great in the CFL at their rover linebacker position like we spoke about. The CFL likes those smaller guys at the linebacker positions, guys who can do everything he can, cover a tight end, cover a receiver, blitz the quarterback, set the edge, play a little linebacker, play a little safety, split out a corner when needed. I think that'd be a great role for him. And I think if the CFL hasn't taken notice of him yet, they are missing out, because he is an aggressive player who really he's just the type of guy you want on your team. I mean, he's going to work his ass off. He's going to know the playbook, and he's going to put himself in a position to succeed on a down-by-down basis, no matter where you ask him to play. But I'm going to take a short break, and then we will return with Brooklyn Hardiman around the 8 o'clock hour. I would really appreciate if you all that are watching now would come back and join me once again. I'm going to take a couple minutes, thank our sponsors, and then I will catch you in about 20 more minutes when Brooklyn joins us. So here's a minute or a word from our sponsors. Shady Sports Network. I wanted to take a moment out and thank the sponsors that are helping keep this channel going. In case you haven't caught it, Shady Sports Network has teamed with SeatGeek to provide you with our very own discount code SAMSHADY. Using this code at checkout will save you $20 on every purchase, whether you're attending a football game, concert, or other sporting event. Chances are SeatGeek will offer the best deals for the event you are hoping to attend. Big shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this video and all my other content on YouTube, as well as the articles I write. Companies like this are helping channels like mine grow and continue to progress as content creators, in turn helping you bring more consistent and better content. So please go check out SeatGeek today, and remember to use my code SAMSHADY at checkout to save $20. Also helping sponsor channel is eBay Sports. eBay Sports is your one-stop shop for all things sports. Whether you're after trophies, collectibles, apparel, or more, it's sports related. Go check out my special link in the description below to help support Shady Sports Network in our quest to continue growing and providing you with more sports coverage and better quality content in the future. Amazon Music is yet another partner of Shady Sports Network. I personally have been using Amazon Music for several years due to the fact that it does not require you to have solid service to listen to the music that you want to listen to. This was particularly useful in my past career, where I was working inside a warehouse 12 to 16 hours a day, depending on the day. This kept me sane for many years because I was able to listen to the music that I wanted to without interruption in a place that was otherwise very, very boring if I didn't have the music. So once again, click on my link below in the description to join Amazon Music and find all the benefits that you can find on that app in particular. I personally have several music apps, but Amazon Music is my go-to because of the fact that you do not need the service. You don't get interrupted when you're in the middle of a song. It doesn't just cut out because you randomly lose service when you're walking around a building, which drives me nuts. But on to our last sponsor of the day, and this is less a sponsor, more an app I just support and happens to provide cash back to those who support it. Get Upside is an app that I have been touting for a while because it will quite literally pay you cash back to purchase gas at participating gas stations. The app is extremely user-friendly and points you to the nearest deal and lists out several so you can find the most cash back. This app is great for those who travel often, but still useful for those city drivers who don't drive too far from home because at the end of the day, it's cumulative. So you can't actually take cash back until you hit $10 without taking a fee, but you add up $10 so fast it's not even funny. I think you basically build up $10 off like 2 or 3 fill-ups, and you take that cash and immediately goes in your account within 2 to 3 days typically, and there are no catches, none whatsoever. There's no reason why you shouldn't be using this app at this point in time. It saves you money, puts money back in your pocket. It can be used at gas stations, grocery stores, restaurants, and several other things are coming down the pike in ways that I'm not even familiar with at the moment. You can use my code SAM363682 to help support Shady Sports Network today and earn yourself some extra cash back on your first purchase. This is one of those things where if you use this app and you use my code, for every gallon of gas you purchase, you're actually going to be continuing to support the channel. And this is not only helpful to me, but hopefully if you stick with us and you watch the videos that come out following this, you'll only continue to see an improvement in quality of this content and hopefully see more content coming down the pike. Unfortunately, at this particular point, this is not a full-time position for me, but as this starts to grow and gain an audience, I'm looking to transition this into a bigger part of my life. I would love to have you guys on board. So do me a favor, check out these 4 sponsors that are doing everything they can to help keep Shady Sports Network afloat and keeping us produce content for you guys in the future. Again, check out Get Upside, Amazon Music, eBay Sports, and SeatGeek today to help support Shady Sports Network. Now, back to the content. All right, what's up, everybody? I'm back. I needed to take a short break in between another hour-long interview. Um, grab myself a Red Bull. Um, I'm drinking it. They're not paying me for it yet. I'm working on that. We'll see how that works. But anyway, we're gonna overshoot some NFL rumors, news until Brooklyn Hardiman joins me. Again, if you did not catch the description of this video, Brooklyn Hardiman is a guy who I wanted to interview because he graduated from Colorado Mesa. Um, Colorado Mesa is a very small school that has a football team down in Grand Junction. Um, I'm always a fan of any players from the Colorado schools getting love at the professional level. And Brooklyn is actually getting interest from several CFL teams and NFL teams prior to the 2022 draft cycle. Um, he's a guy who he's played cornerback in high school. He's a very similar player to Ethan, actually, who we just spoke to. He is a guy who played cornerback in high school. He moved to safety. He played both free safety and strong safety at the college level his first couple seasons, and then he moved on to play linebacker his last couple seasons in college, and he actually played really well. His last few seasons, he played at Northern Arizona, and then, as I spoke about before, he ended up finishing his career at Colorado Mesa University, where he played well again. He's definitely an interesting guy. He's 6'2", 230, so he's a little bit bigger than the role that we were talking about with Ethan, where the CFL goes and gets those little bit smaller, faster linebackers. He's a little bit bigger, more closely resembles the NFL style of coverage linebackers that we're seeing, kind of like a Darius Leonard, a guy like Kaiser White that Philly just signed to play their will linebacker position. Guys who are former safeties, moving the linebacker to add that element of coverage ability on tight ends, running backs, stuff like that. Because as we mentioned in the last episode or last interview that I just spoke with Ethan about, the NFL is a pass-happy league now. So we see more and more teams going to these sets where tight ends are basically just jumbo receivers. They run like receivers. Running backs are just converted receivers who catch passes much like receivers, guys like Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, even his backup Alexander Madison, Alvin Kamara. Guys all over the league are contributing as much as receivers as they are as running backs, and this calls for a different kind of defensive player, guys like Ethan and Brooklyn. So it's one of those guys that I'm very interested to talk about and talk to about his career and how he ended up finding himself headed toward the 2022 draft cycle. But as I spoke about, we're going to talk about some NFL news while I'm running through these rumors before Brooklyn joins us. If you have any questions about his career, please add them in the comments. I will try and feature them, whether you're on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch. They should show up in the comments, and I will pop them up on the screen, and we'll have Brooklyn address them when he joins us. But in the meantime, like I said, let's get to some NFL news. Ironically, it sounds like Jalen Reagor might be on the move via a trade. Now, if you are an Eagles fan, you probably did not see this coming, being that Reagor has done just a bit more than nothing for the Eagles since being a first-round pick a couple seasons ago. It stands to reason that teams have seen this and that they would think that he isn't really worth that much, but it sounds like there are teams giving us phone calls about him. Whether or not he ultimately gets traded, it remains to be seen. We're going to have to get enough value for him for it to make sense. Ultimately, I'm not sure what that price would be to the Eagles at this point, but I would say if anybody even dreams of offering you a fourth-round pick, you need to take it. And I know that's probably not what Philly fans want to hear, getting a fourth-round pick in return for a former first-round pick, but at the end of the day, is Rager really going to develop in Philly? Is he going to be anything more than he was the past couple seasons for us? Because if the answer is no in the back of your head, then why even continue with him? Take that fourth round pick, go get yourself another receiver that has the exact same upside that Rager has for you at this point. You can find a guy who can return punts and kicks in the draft, or hey, you can hand that role right over to Devin Allen, I believe it is, who just signed, who's an Olympic sprinter and hurdler. I mean, he's obviously got the requisite talent to be a kick returner, and that's actually what he did last time he was playing football. So why not give him a shot at that role? Go ahead and ship Rager out. Keep Greg Ward, who we re-signed. Keep J-Jaw. Maybe even, as I've suggested in the past, move him to tight end. That's, again, a subject that I would like to touch on. J-Jaw is a guy who I believe he's 6'2", 220 right now. Now, if you look at it, he is only about 10 pounds lighter and the same height as a former Eagles tight end, Trey Burton. Now, Trey Burton was a former quarterback. He didn't move to tight end from receiver, but at the same time, the position move for J-Jaw makes sense. I mean, the arguments that we have about him and why he's not being used as a wide receiver at this point is because he can't gain separation, but he's still seeing snaps because of his ability as a blocker and his ability on special teams. To me, this role spells that he is in the competition for a tight end role. I was actually wrong on his weight. He's 6'2", 225, according to Pro Football Focus. Reference, sorry, not Focus. With that being said, then we're talking about 5 to 10 pounds and have him focus on playing tight end. He's 6'2", 230, 235. He's already got a lot of experience as a blocker in line. We saw it last season in goal line sets that he would actually come in and be like a slot receiver, but really tight to the line of scrimmage. I mean, the tight end role. It's one of those things that just makes sense for him. I mean, if you want to get the most you can out of a second round pick that you spent, almost 4 seasons ago now, give the guy a chance. Move him to tight end. Have him line up against linebackers and safeties where he's going to have a lot better opportunity to gain separation. And on top of that, you're going to stick him with his strengths. Blocking, you're going to keep him on special teams because you no longer need him on depth for receiver where we've struggled. Tight end's a strength for us. We've got Dallas Goedert. We could use a tight end too, but really it's going to be hard for him to even, crack the roster as a tight end 3 if they truly like Tyree Jackson. Unless, of course, we ultimately get Tyreek Jackson and have him start the season on the PUP or IR with the designation to return or something like that. And ultimately we keep J-Jaw as a tight end to begin with the season and use him for special teams help. We've carried 4 tight ends in the past. Maybe that's something that we look at in the future. But ultimately, it would be something that I think makes a lot of sense. I think ultimately there's a lot of interesting situations that the Eagles seem to avoid trying at times when they should really just give it a shot. I mean, what are you losing? J-Jaw is a guy who is quite literally not doing any good for you at this point. But moving on, we'll bring on Brooklyn, who just joined us. Hopefully the sound quality is a little bit better with him.
You hear me?
Brooklyn, how's it going, man? Can you hear me okay?
Oh, there we go. How are you?
Pretty good. How about you, buddy?
A little bit. Yeah, I only have 1 bar right now, so it might be not the best. I'm doing pretty
Okay, you
well.
want me to wait a
Got
couple
off the
minutes
field.
so you can get somewhere with better service?
I think it's good now. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I can hear you too.
Okay, cool. Well, then we'll just go ahead and get into it. So, as I said before he joined us, joining me today is 2022 NFL/CFL draft prospect Brooklyn Hardiman. Brooklyn is a criminal justice major who began his college career and ended up at Colorado Mesa in Grand Junction. Hardman is a high-energy player who never quits on a play, and he was able to parlay his time at Colorado Mesa into a Division I offer, where he would graduate in 2021. Brooklyn, thank you for joining me today. How you doing? Can you hear me okay?
No problem. Thank you for having me. I'm doing real well. How are you?
Pretty good.
Yeah, I can hear you. It's a little delayed, but I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Why don't you go ahead and give us a quick introduction?
Yeah.
I mean, we'll get into detail here shortly. But yeah, go ahead and introduce yourself to the people watching.
Yeah, nice to meet you guys. My name is Brooklyn Hardiman. Like Sam said, I've had a long football career. It's been a journey. I'm from De La Salle High School in the East Bay, Concord, California, Northern California. Went from there to Southern Oregon. I redshirted there, and then just decided it wasn't for me. So I came home, went the JUCO route. Played junior college ball for 2 seasons at Los Medanos in Pittsburg, California, in the East Bay, and then I was fortunate enough to get a Division I offer to Northern Arizona, where I played in 2019. And then, long story short, COVID hit everything, and I grad transferred to Colorado Mesa and played my last senior year there, and now I'm here. So, embarking on my pro journey.
Absolutely. So, what age did you get involved with organized football, and what inspired you to play the sport?
Sir. Oh man, 5 years old. I started at 5 years old. I started with flag football, a little pee-wee football. And, my first sport was soccer, and then I didn't like that. It was a little too much running for me. I couldn't hit anyone. So I went to football. My dad played football at University of Montana. So football is kind of in my blood, you can say. But yeah, I started at 5 years old and just played it, and I just love the game ever since. I've been dedicated to it, and I really have never loved another sport besides football.
Makes sense. I feel the same. There's no sport as great as football as far as I'm concerned. What positions did you play when you first started playing football?
So I've always played mainly defense, but actually in youth football I was a fullback. I played cornerback for defense. Started at cornerback because I was pretty small, and then going into high school, I actually played receiver on the offensive side, and then I also played DB as well. I moved to like a safety position. And then, going into my sophomore year of high school, I just started playing defense only. I never really liked offense that much. It was fun, but always liked defense. Always like to kind of be in control of your own destiny. You get to make your plays and hit people and make the picks and everything. So, but then I moved to like sophomore year, I moved to safety, played that all throughout high school. And then I played that also in junior college as well, and then recently, I really only played linebacker for the one season at NAU, and then the one season at Colorado Mesa. So I'm pretty new to linebacker. So they moved me once I got recruited at LMC. They moved me to inside linebacker. And then, as we talked about a little bit, they moved me to that, like that will linebacker / rover. It's kind of like a hybrid between a safety and a linebacker position, that will linebacker, and I've been playing that ever since.
Absolutely, which makes perfect sense for the type of player you are as far as like former safety, now playing linebacker. Um,
Right.
what have
Yeah,
you
it's
taken
a good
from?
spot. I like it a lot.
Sorry about that. What have you taken from your experience as a
Oh, you're good.
cornerback and safety and used to become a great linebacker?
I think the biggest one is coverage skills. Because at linebacker, being able to have the safety background and those coverage skills, because at safety you're used to covering, fast guys, slot guys, and receivers. So being able to transition to linebacker, and then now you're covering running backs and tight ends, it just gives you an edge up to just be able to cover. So biggest one is coverage skills, and then obviously being a DB before a linebacker, your footwork, it's really helped me with my footwork, dropping in the pass coverage. And really, too, I guess a third one is just being able to read the quarterback. Because at DB, you're always reading the quarterback, and it just.
Makes sense. In your interview with Draft Diamonds, I saw how you mentioned that you fell in love with the physicality and freedom of the game. Did you feel this love for the physical side of the game helped to lead you to be a better player and specifically linebacker later in life?
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Because coming, I always like to hit, and I always like to be aggressive. And I was taught at an early age, football is, in my opinion, you got to play one way, and that's aggressive, especially if you're a defensive player. But at safety, you get to hit people, and it's a good spot, but it's a little different than linebacker, where, every play you have linemen in your face, you're getting, you got to shed blocks, you got to bring that physicality, or if you don't, you're gonna get washed out, and you're not gonna be able to make the play. So I think that's one of my biggest strengths is being physical, being aggressive, and bringing kind of an attitude, chip on my shoulder to the play.
Absolutely.
So it's definitely helped me.
How did you have to change the way you trained yourself as a player to transition from defensive back to linebacker?
Well, the biggest one is the weight gain. So, I mean, I was around 200 pounds playing safety in junior college, and then I got up to 235, and I fluctuated between 230 and to 220, that range. So the biggest one is the weight gain, and then obviously weight room. Lifting big, lifting heavier, because you're taking on linemen that are 315, 30 plus pounds. So definitely the weight room, um, and then just transitioning from doing DB drills and that type of stuff to linebacker drills. Like I just got off the field tonight. I was doing linebacker drills. I like to write the drills down from the combine, the NFL combine. I write them down on a piece of paper, and then I go do the exact ones on the field. So that's helped me a lot too.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That's a great way to train. I mean, obviously, that's what they're looking at.
Yep. Yes, sir.
During your high school career, your team was fairly successful, and your team went on to be ranked number one at one point. I believe during the
Yes, sir.
2014-15 season.
Yep.
What do
Yes,
you
sir.
attribute
Yeah.
this to? Was it great coaching, great play, a mesh of both?
Boy. Um, yeah. Yeah. It was great coaching, great players. And those were huge, but I think it was a lot to the brotherhood of the team. Like you hear, if you ever know about De La Salle, the biggest word you're going to hear is brotherhood, and we don't take that lightly. So I mean, we were just, especially, I think we got that national ranking, number one ranking, my junior year, so 2014. Um, Both my junior and senior year were really close, but it was every year we were just such a tight team. Like we were really close, and we showed up every day and was accountable to each other. We wanted to work hard for each other, and we wanted everyone to do their job, and we didn't. It was almost like we didn't want to let anyone down. We didn't want to let each other down, um, and I think it just spoke volumes to how we played. Um, I mean, my class only lost twice in 4 years, so it was was special. It was really special. And our work ethic was, man. I mean, the training I did at De La Salle was harder than any training I've done in college. It was crazy how we worked. So because we weren't a bunch of physically gifted, like huge guys, like huge and just gifted guys. We worked and worked, and it just helped us on the field. We were always in great shape. You know, we didn't get tired much, so that was a big one too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What did it mean at the time for you to be ranked number one in the state? I mean, that must have been an awesome feeling when you're a football player and you're striving to be the best all the time.
Yeah, that was crazy. I remember after we won state, the day waking up the next day, and Max Preps ranked us number one, and my teammates sent it to me, and I was just like, it's crazy. We are very lucky, very fortunate to be that way. But it was really, I mean, it was about just, like we owed it to each other. Like we're not about rankings, that's just a plus. We just want to win, and like I said, we're accountable to each other. So we want to do everything we can on and off the field to never let each other down. But the ranking was it was fun to see. It was definitely a plus after winning the state championship. So it's
Absolutely.
something that you carry with you for the rest of your life, for sure.
I can only imagine. I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, I mean, you spoke about it. The culture at De La Salle is almost like an NFL locker room, probably because of the fact that they have produced so much NFL level talent. I mean, you've had Maurice
Right.
Jones-Drew, DJ Williams, Kevin Simon,
Right.
many other names that I could name that are just escaping me at the moment. Were these guys you looked up to? Do you still see these guys in the building when you're in high school at that point? How does that all work?
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. I just saw Coach Drew a couple weeks ago. I work out at his training facility down here in Martinez a little bit. But yeah, De La Salle it's huge. It's built on tradition. So every team that's there, we know when you're in our weight room, they have all the national championships, all the state championships, and all the years on the wall. So every day you're reminded of, upholding the tradition and, like I said, like I've been referred to, like being accountable to each other. So seeing those dudes, all the dudes in the NFL and all the former great players, it's kind of just like it's a good reminder every day to, you got to do your part, and you have to live up to a high standard, and it's a lot of pressure too, but it's good pressure, and we really liked it, and we enjoyed it. So
Absolutely. You train with the best, you end up the best, as far as
yes,
I'm
sir.
concerned. Um,
Yeah.
Moving on to the college level, you cut a very interesting college path. I mean, you mentioned it before. Starting first, you redshirted with Southern Oregon. Was it?
Yes, it was. Yeah.
And then you went on to the community college level. Talk to me about how the recruitment process worked for you individually and how you wound up deciding ultimately Southern Oregon and then moving on.
Yeah, so I had a different, not a normal college career. It was definitely different. It was a tougher one, but it's what's made me into who I am. Out of high school, I didn't have any big offers, um, so I went to Southern Oregon. Just wanted to sign, so I signed with them. They're recruiting me. One of the few schools that was recruiting me. I went there, and it was I mean a lot of actually players on the team were from the Bay Area, so I made a lot of good teammates, and I liked the coaches. But after that year I redshirted, I kind of thought to myself, like, I want to. My goal is I want to go play Division I football. So I came home to JUCO. I didn't know anything about junior college, nothing about you know what the process is, but I went to the one closest to my house where I was living at the time, and just kind of started over really. And I did a year and a half there of school, 2 seasons there, and coming out of junior college, it was really tough to make it. Just statistics wise, I mean, it's a very small percentage of people who actually um, get a D1 offer out of junior college, but I was lucky enough to get one, and I did. I mean, the amount of calls I made, and my dad helped me, and we literally sat in our room and made calls every day, just calling coaches up, and you know, selling them my film, selling them my height, weight, 40 time. I actually wrote a script out. Um, it is pretty crazy. I wrote a whole script, and I would literally just say it to these coaches every day, and most of the times I wouldn't get a response, but I was just persistent, and it happened to be NAU was the first one who responded or who offered me, um, and showed real interest in. I took it because I was hungry, so I took the first one to offer me. That's how it went from there.
Absolutely. How'd you end up leaving NAU?
So after I played there 2019, I had a good season. Finished like second on team tackles. It was good. And then that COVID year hit. It was at 2020. We were actually supposed to open up with. I was so excited. We were supposed to open up with Arizona State at their place, but then COVID hit, canceled the season. And I actually had a medical issue. I have what's called Crohn's disease, if you know what
Okay.
that is. It's an autoimmune disease, stomach disease, and it's been pretty good my whole life. I was diagnosed with it in fifth grade at 10 years old, and it was really bad. But then I got with some great doctors, and they basically cured me, put me in remission, and it was good up until just that year. I have problems here and there, but up until that year, it got really bad. I lost like 45 pounds. Um, Went from like 230 to 190. And I had to come home. So long story short, I was home for a little bit, and they actually ended up pulling my scholarship. So I transferred. I entered the transfer portal, and then just long story short, I decided to hit the portal and went to Colorado Mesa for my last year. I was able to graduate though, for sure, from NAU, and it was good. I had a good season. Good experience while I was there, but sometimes life throws you a curveball and you just got to roll with it. So
Absolutely. This was probably a little bit before your time. I'm a little bit older than you, but David Garrard actually dealt with that during his career, former Jacksonville quarterback.
yeah, I know who
Mhm.
that is. Yep, and I know he had it too. I've heard of him, and I know he has it. I think a few players in the NFL actually have it.
I
Um,
believe it.
so it's definitely a lot of kids have it too. It's more prevalent, I think, in younger kids. Um, but yeah,
Really?
it's a tough disease. I'm lucky now that I have no problems. I'm in remission. I've been in remission for a while now. I'm lucky, but a lot of kids have it worse than me, and I have to be hospitalized for it. So it's crazy. So
Yeah.
I'm thankful.
It's one of those things that you never really think about, I don't think, until it happens to you.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
So I'm going to back up a little bit because I actually kind of breezed through your career during community college and stuff, which I don't think does it justice. You were coached by Coach Shipe. Am I pronouncing that last name right?
Yep. That's true. Chris Shipe. I actually just saw him tonight when I was at the field.
Really? That's awesome.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
under Shipe, you collected so many awards. I mean, unanimous first team All Conference, first team All State, and team MVP. You were also a team captain, just kind of showing the what you were able to do underneath him and the respect that your team had for you. Of all these awards and accolades you got while you were there, are there any that stick out above the rest?
I think when I got the All-State one, I was pretty, I was like, wow, All-State, California. California's got a lot of talent for junior college, especially. We're filled with a lot of good junior colleges, and I was really just humbled to get that All-State one. I remember I read my name on the All-State, and then some All-State linebacker, and I was like, wow, that's crazy. So that one for sure, for sure. And then obviously I'm honored to have my teammates call me a captain too. I made some real strong relationships at JUCO and at that school, so that was that was pretty special too.
Do you keep in touch with any of those guys outside of the coaching staff still?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, I talked to all the coaching staff tonight. Actually, they had a practice. I came back and did my position drills and met them all, and I'm still close with them. But I talked to a lot of friends. A lot of my friends actually from there are still playing. A couple, not a lot, are still playing. But I talked to like a core group of them still. So
That's
there's
awesome.
some good relationships. Yeah.
That's awesome. That's one of the underrated things about football. I think you form bonds with guys that you just simply can't outside of the locker room.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Because you just go through so much physically and mentally, and they're right there. You got to go through it. They got to go through it. So it's a different type of relationship for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So you spoke on it a little bit ago. You ended up at NAU. How much interest was there in you outside of NAU, and what ultimately led to that decision? Was that because of your hunger to be at the Division I level, or did you see something with the coaching staff?
Yeah. So I actually was getting recruited by a few Big Sky schools. It was NAU. NAU was the first one to actually offer me, but I was supposed to take a visit to UC Davis as well. Cal Poly was recruiting me as well. Um, Sac State a little bit, but NAU really it was like you just said, my hunger to be a Division I player to I got a Division I offer. They put it up. They put me on a visit. I think it was that January, and I loved the visit. It was great. The coaches, it was everything was great about it. And actually too, it was a little like it was a plus too. One of my roommates up there, teammates too, was I played high school with him, played football with him in high school. So he was my host on my visit. His name's Anthony Sweeney. So he still plays there, but that kind of helped me too. So they offered me, and I just committed, because I was hungry for offers, so I didn't want to pass it up.
Absolutely. I mean, it definitely makes sense. Take the opportunities when you can get them, right?
Right? Yeah, definitely.
So you alluded to it earlier. While you were with NAU, you had a great season. Started 5 of 12 games, I think it was, but still managed
Sure.
impressive stats, playing defense and special teams. I think it was 69 tackles, 4 for a loss,
Yes, sir.
1.5 sacks, and a QB hit. If I'm
Yes, sir. Yep.
okay, talk to me about how
Triple.
you were able to be so productive with the Lumberjacks, and what did you take from the coaching you received while you were there?
It was definitely a big change. Like I said, that was my first year. So coming in that fall camp, I was thrown in a linebacker. So it was a huge change from safety. So it was a lot to learn. And the biggest thing that helped me, besides the coaching, because the coaching was great, but was just getting in my playbook like every night, like treating my playbook like I was studying for a test, like a final exam. But every day I had one. So every day, every night after practice, studying it, rewriting play cards, rewriting calls, all your hot calls. And that was, I think, the biggest thing that helped me kind of get it mentally, because it took a little bit, because we'd have an install, every week or every day sometime. So it was a lot on my plate, coming from junior college where we ran probably three coverages most of the time. We were in a quarters coverage. So it was definitely getting my playbook, and then just kind of being able to play fast too. Because when you know your plays, you can play fast and you don't have to think. So it was definitely getting in my playbook and becoming. That's when I became a true student of the game. I improved in that aspect a lot, and it helped me.
Absolutely, absolutely. Is there any one coach from any of your stops that stands out that's really just put your game over the level, or I mean, over the edge to the next level?
Damn, that's like any staff, even from high school too.
Yeah, yeah. Any coach from
Uh,
any point.
it's been so many. I've had so many good coaches. It's hard to choose. I mean, you can't match the coaches at De La Salle. It's just they're such great coaches. We learned. We did the fundamentals so well. They taught us the fundamentals there so well, and I mean, every coach there, they prepared you definitely prepared you for college. It was like, a college prep school, really. So any of the coaches there just really, they taught you about football, but they taught you about life more too. We'd have our commitment card meetings and our team meetings, and they were big on a lot of the players spoke in the team meetings, and it was more about like life lessons too. So that definitely those coaches are most standouts for sure.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm probably going to butcher his last name, so I apologize when I say this ahead of time.
Okay,
Um, Colorado Mesa
okay.
is led by Colorado native Miles Kokavar. Um,
I think it's Coach Avor,
Coach
but
Gavar?
and you
Okay.
might be right. I've never actually met him. He he um he just got the coaching job about 3 months ago now. My coach when I was there was Tremaine Jackson, and
Okay.
then our D coordinator was Coach Anderson. But yeah, he's there now. I've talked to him a few times because I talked to him about pro day and how that was set up too. But he seems like a cool guy. I've talked to him on the phone.
Gotcha. My research is failing me. I apologize.
No, no, you're good.
Normally, I do not. I don't like to slip up like that. That's why I check my
No,
knowledge
it's
ahead of
all
time
good.
and talk to you guys.
You're good. You're
um,
good.
so, heading into the draft for the NFL and the CFL, you spoke on it before. You played a lot of quarter coverage. Do you have a preference or feel more comfortable playing a certain base defense, whether it's 3-4, 4-3, nickel, quarters coverage, um,
Yeah,
dime defense?
right. Honestly, I played at NAU. We played 3-4. We shifted between 3-4 and 4-3, and it was same at Colorado Mesa 3-4, 4-3. I kind of like I touched on. I like playing that rover position, and I like playing quarters. That's pretty easy. I like man coverage though too as well, like the zero coverage. When I was at Mesa, they'd walk me down on the tight ends a lot, and I like guarding the tight ends. Um, so I'd probably have to say probably 3-4 for sure. But I like they mixed it up a lot at Mesa. We had like a third down package where it was more coverage based, like a nickel package basically. And I like playing that as well too. So it's hard to choose. Um, but yeah, I like blitzing as well too. That was fun. We mixed it up a lot at Mesa. They sent us off the edge a bit. Where NAU when I was playing an inside linebacker, I'd blitz, A gap, B gap. Sometimes we do, twist with me and it was like a true Mike and Will linebacker in the middle. We twist, switch A and B gap. But I'd have to say for blitzing, I like coming off the edge.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Very interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
So we got a couple comments. Um, Bobby wants to mention that you're a Cali boy and that he's really psyched about the fact that you went to De La Salle. That Maurice
No,
Jones-Drew was a beast while he was there,
I can see it. Yeah,
and then hell yeah, that you're being on an island shows your skills, which is
appreciate it.
absolutely
Thank you.
true. That was
Yeah.
actually one of the things that I was going to mention earlier. My research also failed me because I must have assumed that you played cornerback in high school based off seeing you lined up man on a couple different people on highlights. And
Yeah.
yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I was a cornerback. The last time I was a cornerback was youth football.
Okay.
um, yeah, so I mean, technically I did play it before, but that was youth football. Yeah, in high school I just played safety. I was more of like uh, a free safety really, which I never was. I never fit at free safety. I was always more of a strong safety, which I moved to. So.
Makes sense. I guess that makes sense why I saw you lined up man on man a couple times if you were playing the free.
Oh yeah, yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah, we'd roll down sometimes and lock up a number two.
Absolutely. With the evolution of the safety and linebacker position, men like yourself have now begun to see higher and higher demand over the years due to the increase in passing, like we talked about off camera. If you had the chance to point out one determining trait that sets you apart from other players in this role, what would it be and why?
Hmm. I'd say definitely my range. Like I'm more of a like we talked about, like you mentioned, rangy. Like I'm a rangy linebacker. I have long arms, And the biggest thing that sets me apart is my coverage skills. I can cover like a safety, but I'm playing linebacker and playing that rover position. So my range, and then, just having that, due to having that safety background, my coverage skills.
Absolutely. So Bobby actually has another question for you involving your training. What kind of speed and footwork training do you prefer to do? Ladder, jump rope?
Yeah, I do ladder. I usually start out every workout with just ladders. I've done jump rope before. Jump rope's great. I mean, jump rope's good for any type of sport doing footwork. But like I said, I do a lot of like I mentioned earlier, I write down all the position drills, and those just help me um, a bunch. I do all the ones that do in the combine. It helps me with my shuffle, my sprinting, my change of direction, opening. The biggest one too is opening up your hips. Being able to have fluid hips, that's a big one. So definitely those, um, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, while in college, I noticed that you actually held remarkable grades throughout the whole time. What drove you to be, like basically strive for excellence in the academic world and the football field?
Yeah, so I was always, I mean, since high school, I always pride myself. My parents, you know, they taught me to just, you got to keep good grades 'cause it's not just about football. You got to be a student as well. That's why you're a student athlete, student first. So, honestly, in college, what drove me to keep good grades is because I want to, whenever I'm done playing football, attend law school. So, because I got a criminal justice degree with a minor in sociology. So, for law school, if you have a 3.5 or over, you're kind of, you're look like that looks good for your resume and for possible scholarships to law schools. So I always just was like thinking about, keeping my grades up. My goal was always to get a 3.5 and higher. I've made the dean's list a lot in college. So it was just I always got my schoolwork done, always. So I pride myself on that.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't know that it was the whole time. I did see at one point you had a 4.0 for sure. So that in itself
Yeah,
is impressive.
yeah, yeah. My freshman year, true freshman year at Southern Oregon was my worst year academically. I think I finished with like a 3.0 or something. Not maybe the first year was like 2.7, so it was kind of bad. But after that, I got it together, and I was like, okay, it's time to be serious.
It made me laugh. I don't mean to laugh at you, but like other people are like, yes, I got a 3.0. And you're like, oh, I had a bad year. I had a 3.0.
Yeah, I'm pretty hard on myself, real hard in the classroom and on the field too. So, but
Absolutely.
it's helped me. Sure.
Absolutely. I mean, obviously, this intelligence obviously helps you on the football field because you're a very cerebral player. How do you approach film study when it comes to an opposing offense, and how has it changed as you've transitioned into linebacker?
Yeah, so film. Um, so when I was a safety, you usually study the receivers. You study receivers, their tendencies, and you study quarterbacks. Like looking at a quarterback. When you're watching film, like if you're watching film, I'd look for one, does he stare down his targets? Because that's if you get a quarterback that stares down his targets, that's pretty easy to get a pick off him because you can just read his eyes, weed and make the pick. But you also look at his little things like his footwork before the stance. Is he staggered? Is he square? Because that can tip off. Some quarterbacks like I know it. Just remembering from my last school, some quarterbacks they were staggered before the play, and that gave off that I think it was like 90%. It would be a pass. So we used to yell out like plane, plane, plane. That meant pass before the snap. But then sometimes when they were square, it would be a run. So little things like that. Then looking at, going shifting to receivers, little things in their stance, how they line up, kind of same as quarterbacks. But when you shift to linebacker, now you're looking at O lineman first, right? You're looking at Some linemen in their stance just give it away, pass run. Some don't even put their hand in the dirt and have their hands resting on their knees. So it looks like that's going to, usually be a pass. And you study film, you can usually pick out one lineman on the line that does that. And if you study enough and you can recognize that, you can get little jumps on plays that can be difference between a big play, game changing play or not. So definitely studying linemen, and then study running backs as well, their tendencies. So I like to pick up, you could say, little tendencies um, with players, with O linemen and running backs and the opposing offense that can help me get an edge on making plays. Because at the college level, but especially at the pro level, everyone's big, strong, fast. Everyone's good, but if you can separate yourself by studying more film, because you can never watch too much film. So you study more film, you get little edges, that you could possibly change a game with a play.
Absolutely. Some of the greatest players of all time have made it there based off their football IQ and not their physical attributes. So I
Right,
100%
right.
agree.
Definitely.
And just out of curiosity, when you're talking about staggered and square, you're talking about the footwork of the actual quarterback, correct? When he's got one foot
Yeah,
back.
yeah. Yep. Yep. So
Okay.
at my last school at Colorado Mesa, a lot of teams, I don't know why, but a lot of teams quarterbacks would do that, and they'd give away that, we'd watch the whole cut up film of their runs and passes, and most of the time when they pass, their stances were staggered before they're taking the snap and shotgun
Hmm.
staggered, and then when it's run, they're square and they're handing it off, and it's a run. So little things
Interesting.
like that.
So
Yeah.
even when they're in shotgun?
Yeah, it was weird.
Yeah.
It was a lot of we faced a lot of spread teams, a lot of quarterbacks in the gun. So
Okay. Interesting.
yeah.
I wouldn't have expected that in a shotgun, but, under center, that makes
Yeah.
some sense. They want to get into their back pedal quicker. Um,
Right. Yeah.
um,
Yeah, it was definitely different.
Without giving away all your secrets, share with us some of the younger players out there watching. What are some of the things to watch for specifically outside of what you just listed? I mean, are there certain things that you watch for in terms of specific play by play, in terms of like if you're guarding a certain receiver, clues as to what route he's running, stuff like that?
Yeah, so for receivers, I have another piece of advice for like younger kids, which I'll say after, but I'll answer the question directly. For receivers, I'd say that one of the biggest things, um, is to look at if you watch a bunch of clips on a receiver, just say you're watching a slot receiver, look at their effort for when they're getting the ball compared to when they're not getting the ball, because some receivers will take the playoff usually and they're not going to get the ball, so they'll run downfield and they might block or sometimes not do anything, but when they're usually getting the ball they're going to run the route full speed, and it's designed to go to them. So look at that, and then little tendencies too, like when they're about to make their cut, whatever route they're breaking off into, them sinking their hips or kind of moving their hands more, um, or dropping their head, little stuff like that can tip you off to when they're going to break, because if you can break quicker than them and jump the route, you can make a play. But one of the biggest things I had to learn watching film, that helped me is I would have my whole call sheet, like our hot calls in college, we called it, that they'd signal in from the sideline. And before every play on film, I would call out a coverage or a call and put myself in that play, like mentally, put myself in the play and kind of play the play out to the call we called, and just kind of go through the play without just besides like compared to just watching film. That's a big one.
Gotcha. Makes perfect sense. Kind
Yeah.
of try to move your mind through the whole play, start to finish.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Absolutely.
it gets you really, really practices your calls over and over. So, because the best way to learn them is just repetitive repetition, to repeat them in your mind.
Absolutely. So when we spoke off camera, you said that some NFL and CFL teams are looking your way. Without giving away all the team names, are there any you are at liberty of telling us who are interested in you?
Yeah, I could tell you. I have a local day. I was invited to the 49ers local day on Wednesday, so in 2 days now. That'll be out in Santa Clara. That'll be a good day. And then this next weekend, I'm going to two CFL tryouts with the Rough Riders and the Edmonton Elks. That'll be on Saturday and Sunday. And then that week after, I was invited to a workout with the Hamilton Tiger Cats on the Friday, April 22nd. Um, and then supposedly, I think I'm going to go to another tryout with the BC Lions on May 1st. So it'll be a busy next month or so. But I'm
Absolutely.
excited. Thankful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any idea where you're projected to go in either of these drafts? Has anybody kind of given you an idea what to expect?
I mean, yeah, I know what to expect. No one's really told me, but I know I'm not going to be drafted. For NFL, I want to, my goal is to undrafted free agent signing after the draft would be great. Um, I have a few friends in the NFL. One I actually played with at NAU, who's on the Ravens right now. He was an undrafted free agent. Um, so he's kind of, I've asked him a bunch of questions, how it all worked and stuff. But for the CFL, that's NFL side. For the CFL, um, I don't really know honestly how their draft works, um, but I know that like my agent's been telling me, if I perform well at these tryouts and this private workout I have, they can sign you right there. So that's the goal, to get because I'd love to play in CFL or NFL. So that'd be either one would be great. But um, so yeah, I'm just kind of taking it day by day, really.
Absolutely. So you highlighted the CFL and NFL interest you've gotten. Has there been any alternative or spring leagues that have reached out to you yet?
No, not yet. I'd be open to like possibly next year the XFL. I know that's coming back. I know the USFL is happening right now, so it's a little late for that. But I mean, I'm open to definitely those two leagues. But my main goals is the CFL and the NFL. Um, but I kind of just, like I said, take it day by day, and if new opportunities present themselves, I'm open to it. So we'll see.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I was
Yeah.
just curious how that all worked. I wasn't sure if they reach out to guys before the drafts or after the drafts, or really how they approach that all. Um, but heading into the two drafts, what is your dream scenario? Is it to hear your name called in one league, both leagues? Is it landing with a specific team or coach? Do you want to be close to home in San Fran or?
Man, I don't care where I go. I'll go wherever. CFL, NFL. It's a dream to play professional, and the dream has always been NFL. But learning of the CFL, and I think I mentioned to you training with one of the, in my opinion, one of the best D linemen in the CFL right now, and just talking to him, I've really gained a real interest in the CFL. So my dream would be to sign with a CFL or NFL team, and I'll go wherever. I'll go to any team. Don't care if it's close to home. Obviously, the 49ers or Raiders are closest to me, but like I said, I'll go wherever. Doesn't matter.
Absolutely. So Bobby actually has another question for you. He's shooting them in nice and fast. Do you think you'll stay at the same position in the league, or try to gain or lose weight to make yourself more flexible to what a team might ask?
Oh, good question. So for the CFL, their linebackers, like I think I mentioned to you, in the wheel position that I've played, like the rover, you could call it a rover. Their linebackers are around 200, 205, and their league's about speed. Very like spread oriented offenses in that league, and their field's wider and longer than the NFL fields. So I'd probably have to lose a little weight, um, but I think my speed's good enough right now. So we'll see. But for NFL, um, maybe gain 5, 10 more pounds, which wouldn't be hard. Um, but it's ultimately, like we've talked about, it's changed to it's really speed oriented. It's about speed. So because you see like like I mentioned like linebackers like Darius Leonard and linebackers out of weigh in at like 220, 225,
Hmm.
but they could just cover sideline to sideline and they cover real well. So we'll see.
Absolutely, absolutely. Bobby also has another question. Uh, finally, um, so he asks about the best training that you can find in California. Do you have any recommendations?
Oh yeah, there's well, it depends what part of California. I know there's a lot of good training out in Los Angeles, Southern California. A lot of good speed training out there. One guy's name is Spellman Performance. I don't know any of them personally, but I watch all their speed videos. Because I've been, I have to run the 40 and it's real technical, and they do a lot of 40 training. But out here, there's a lot of good places. I mean, a bunch of places. I trained at Power Endurance in Martinez, and then there's Cal. Actually, it's called Cal Strength, California Strength, out in it's in like San Ramon, California. They have two facilities, um, so those are two really good places. And I lift weights at it's called Functional Muscle Fitness. Great gym. My great coach out there too, Coach Juan. So there's a lot of good. I've been going to his gym for since junior college now, and he's got me big and strong. So there's a lot of good spots.
Absolutely. So this is kind of a goofy question, but while you spent time in Colorado, did you ever catch 104.3 The Fan with Mark Schlereth?
No, no.
Okay.
Is that's a
So
radio station?
yeah, it's a radio station. It's a little far north for you. It's from Denver, so I don't even catch it in the
Okay.
Springs. But basically, he has a saying that I thought was pretty apt for your career in general. He always says he's dispensing justice on the field, and it kind of fits perfectly with playing linebacker, your criminal
Yeah.
justice background, and everything. So I thought it was
Yeah,
kind of funny. Um, but
definitely. Yeah.
you should definitely
That's
check it
great.
out. He says it all the time. It's like his big
I will.
catchphrase.
I will.
Um,
I will for sure.
do you find it more beneficial working out with other people to push you, or do you prefer working out alone?
Um, so I like both. It depends what I'm doing. So I lift alone usually. I've always been self motivated and push myself. Sometimes a little too hard. But I love lifting alone. But I like doing speed work um, and competition drills. Obviously, you need competition breeds more competition. So I like doing speed work and position drills and football related stuff. Anything on the field, basically, with competition.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm going to leave you with one last question. I'm going to kind of put you on the spot, so feel free not to answer if you don't want to. Perfectly
Okay.
okay. Would you be willing to come back on post draft and break the news where you land on my channel with me?
Oh yeah, sure, no problem.
That would be
Yeah.
awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
I was not
Definitely. Yeah.
expecting that to be so easy.
No, yeah, no problem. Why not? I'll know. I mean, the CFL camps, I mean, stuff gets going quick. So
Yes, it
CFL
does.
starts in May, just from information I was getting from my friend, and then NFL starts quick too. So I'll know quickly. I'll either get picked up or I won't. So we'll see.
Oh, you're going to be in a league somewhere, whether it's NFL, CFL, or one of the other ones that have, plenty of opportunity to succeed there as well. You'll be somewhere, man.
Right.
Watching your game, there's no way you won't be. So,
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm praying. Hopefully we'll see.
absolutely. Well, I know I'll be rooting for you, and I hope all of the people who are watching right now will as well. I mean, most of them are coming from Colorado, so we need to root for guys who came out of Colorado. I know you only spent a year here, but to me, that's a big deal, man. I mean, Colorado, in my
Yeah.
mind, does not get the love they should for the athletes that come out of this state as graduates. So,
Right. Definitely, yeah. It was beautiful in Colorado too. It was crazy going on the away trips, just riding on the bus. It was like the scenery was crazy. California doesn't look like that, so
I can
it was
imagine. I
nice.
can imagine. Did you do any
Yeah.
skiing, snowboarding while you were out here?
No, because it was during season, so I didn't want to risk anything. But I did after the season. I was able to go fishing. I love to fish. We were able to go. Me and a couple of my teammates went trout fishing, and it was great, beautiful. Forget what river it was. Um, it was right. It was about an hour from Grand Junction, but it was a great time.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, man, if you're ever back in Colorado, hit me up. I'll take you out to dinner or something. Go grab a beer
All
if you
right.
drink. I don't really drink, but whatever. Um,
Yeah, I
yeah.
don't either.
Okay, cool. Well, we'll go grab a bite to eat or something and
Sounds
yeah,
good.
catch up. Thanks, man. I
All
appreciate you
right,
coming
cool.
on. And once again, I'll be rooting for you and watching for your name on the transaction ticker. And I will definitely be keeping up with you and seeing where you land.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And then we'll talk, after everything gets settled down. I know what's happening.
Absolutely. Sounds good, man. Best of luck, like I said, and have a great rest of your night. Thanks for taking the time out and talking to me.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good night.
You as well. Have a good one. All right. So, like I said, guys, that was Brooklyn Hardiman, a Colorado graduate. So, if you're from the state of Colorado, like I am, you should be rooting for this man to succeed. We've seen players in recent memory like Michael Gallup, Chidobe Awuzie, and Isaiah Oliver make it to the NFL as of late. But those are from the bigger schools in Colorado. The ones that are smaller, like Colorado Mesa, and CSU just aren't really getting the love that CU seems to, and I think that we don't really get the attention in Colorado when it comes to football that we should. We're a big hockey state city, and as far as Denver, I mean, you see DU dominating in hockey on a yearly basis, and CU and CSU just have really never in my lifetime lived up to that. I mean, we've seen Chad Brown and guys like that succeed in the NFL, but it's been a long time. It's been a long time, and I would like to see Colorado rise back to prominence on the college level and give me a reason to watch college football. I've never really been a huge college football fan, but I've always rooted for CU and CSU. I actually worked a couple games up at CU. I love the campus; it's beautiful up there. In my personal opinion, Colorado is the most beautiful state I've ever seen. Um, so yeah, I think that players should want to come here, and we need to provide an atmosphere for them athletically to succeed, so we can attract better recruits to the state of Colorado, and they can represent Colorado sports in the manner it deserves. And hopefully, we can start getting some consideration from teams or organizations that are launching these new leagues like the Major League Football and XFL, which don't seem to even look our way when it comes to giving Denver another team or Colorado in general, wherever they may put it. I'm a big proponent of the XFL, determining that Denver's a perfect landing spot. I mean, me and my co-host LeCedric have talked off camera about it several times about how the housing market is exploding. Shout out hashtag said sells homes. Go check that out if you're in the market for a home right now. But basically, with the housing market the way it is here, with people moving here at a high rate of um, traffic, basically it just makes sense that you would give us another football team to follow. And hopefully, going forward, we do get another team in one of these spring leagues, whether it's Major League Football, XFL, or USFL when they expand down the line. Um, Ultimately, only time will tell. I mean, we saw the Colorado Crush have a pretty good stint there for a while John Elway was involved. They won a couple championship games and ultimately still ended up folding. I don't know if that has more to do with John Elway's aspirations and eventual job with the Broncos that would not allow him to be an owner on the side as well, or if that had more to do with the financial side of things. I just really don't know. I was a little too young when that all transpired. But ultimately, we've had other teams here. We actually have another team right here that Cedric made me aware of called the Denver Rush. They are a female contact football team in the Mike Ditka run X League, which I'm sure you all heard about the Lingerie Football League. Well, this is the Lingerie Football League rebranded, thanks to Mike Ditka trying to bring them a little bit more respect. I don't want to say that the Lingerie Football League was a bad idea. Don't get me wrong. It was an interesting premise, but I don't think you should have to sexualize the women in order for them to have the platform to play professional football. And I've always been a firm believer that women have a place in football. There are a lot of women out there that know a hell of a lot more about the game than I do. And there are women out there that are a hell of a lot more athletically gifted than a lot of men that belong in sports. And some of them want to play football. But the thing is, the women still don't have the avenues to get to that level that they should. I mean, you occasionally hear about women playing football for colleges and stuff like that, but it's really not as prominent as it should be. I mean, maybe it needs to get to the point where there's just an entire women's college football. I mean, we see women's basketball, women's everything else. Why not women's football at the college level? Maybe you can, maybe not have 150, 200 teams, whatever it is at the actual men's college level, but 50, 60 teams of women collegiate players that want to play football. I'm pretty sure you could find that. And it would be a welcome gift for football fans on the college level and beyond, that they could now watch higher level women leagues, which I, for one, think would be a great thing. It'll be interesting to see how this continues to progress going forward. Like I said in one of my other videos, we've seen rule changes that have helped women gain a more prominent footing in the NFL. Hopefully we see it at the college level going forward. It remains to be seen, though. It's 2022, though. It's the fact that we're still having these conversations about who belongs where based on their race, their gender, any of that. It's just so ridiculous. At this point, just make it fair for everybody. Everybody should have the same opportunities regardless of where they come from or who they are. And if you can take that opportunity and make it work, then you deserve it. And if you can't, then at least you got the shot, right? That's basically what America's about. You can go chase your dream like I'm chasing mine right now. On that note, that's all I've got for you guys tonight. I know this was kind of a long one, 2 hours, even though there was a little bit of a break in there in the between. I appreciate you guys joining me. It looks like we had viewers on Facebook and YouTube. I'm not sure if anybody joined us on Twitch, but to everybody who joined me, thank you for all your support. Once again, please go check out all of my sponsors. And I appreciate all the support. You guys are the reason why I continue to do this. Bobby, thanks for all your comments. Brian, thanks for dropping in. Everybody else who said you dropped in and didn't comment, thank you. Paige, I apologize about the audio at the beginning of there. I think we got it figured out. Let me know. But anyway, hope you guys catch the next video.